not one of the people that is demonstrating looks like a normal person. Not one looks normal. They're all deformed.
I am not going to bother trying to convince you that eugenics is bad and that disabled people deserve to live full, fun lives. That's just the entrance fee. Pay up. The real story is that our cringe, our ick, our rational quality of life metrics have little to do with actually eliminating cripples like me from the population. They were created by able-bodied people to control able-bodied people. I'll prove it. Are you ready to crip this system? Welcome. I'm M. Ilo, and I'm here to prove that disability is a hotbed of innovation. You can support me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and today we are talking about compulsory able-bodiedness. Welcome back to my favorite segment, telling my mom what this word means. Hi, Mom. To understand compulsory able-bodiedness, we need to first understand its older sibling, compulsory heterosexuality. It was coined by queer poet Adrienne Rich in the 80s. And she argued that heterosexuality isn't like a natural or intrinsic human instinct, but instead a political structure imposed by society. Examples include things like coming out of the closet, where queer kids have to identify themselves because the expected baseline is to be straight, or when people repeatedly ask women when they're gonna have children, because the life stages of get married, have babies are considered the normal way to be. And there is data to back up the idea that as women gain more agency over their lives and their bodies and their wallets, compulsory heterosexuality is losing its grip. Like this graph from the census that shows that more and more women are choosing to remain child-free. Now that we have that context, let's talk about compulsory able-bodiedness. This term was coined by American scholar and queer theorist and disability studies professor Robert McRuer in 2002. And it means that there is no natural or intrinsic normal human body or set of abilities, and that what we perceive as an able-bodied person is a temporary illusion. Examples include grief that a wheelchair user will never walk again because walking is the only normal way to be, or aborting a fetus for having Down syndrome because it's not the right kind of person to be. Compulsory heterosexuality and compulsory able-bodiedness work together to force people into these impossible, rigid ideals of normalcy.
Trust your instincts. To all people and across all civilizations, you know what normal is.
You know what is normal. Okay. From a purely statistical standpoint, normal is the hump in the bell curve. It's just the average, right? The only problem is that averages only exist in math, not in the real world. The most well-known example of this is in 1926, fighter jet cockpits were designed by measuring the physical attributes of hundreds of male pilots and then averaging their heights and leg lengths and arm lengths and head sizes, adding them all up and dividing by their sample size to find the typical pilot. The problem is that all the pilots kept crashing. Why? Even among groups of similar ethnicities and genders, like a bunch of white guy army pilots, not only did the participants have a wide range of measurements, none of them were normal.
You know what normal is.
Okay, let me try again. If normal isn't the average, maybe it's the mode, the most commonly occurring metric in a data set. Okay, so that means that being normal means being a 31-year-old Han Chinese man who lives in Jakarta, Indonesia, which is the most populated city on earth. He lives with an intergenerational group of 4 to 5 family members, works in agriculture, has either chronic back pain or an upper respiratory infection, and has less than $10,000 in total wealth.
You know that the criminal and the junkie and the predator is a threat to normal, healthy living.
So you say criminals, junkies, and predators are a threat to normal. Okay, well, we know that most people who resort to crime have experienced abusive or unstable home lives, families with socioeconomic challenges, unemployment, a lack of access to mental health care. Oh, and we know that investment in housing and healthcare and public schools and early childhood education and high school supports all drastically reduce crime rates, and that those same factors plus genes are the primary risk factors for substance abuse disorder. And as for predators, we know that pedophilia is a highly treatable condition, and studies show that individuals who actively seek treatment before any criminal behavior occurs have a much higher success rate of managing their behaviors and refraining from abuse. And to help people do that, we have to destigmatize the condition and celebrate people who get treatment. No? investing in public health and education and economic stability in ways that will actually benefit people for generations to come isn't what you meant by a threat to normal? Who'da thunk it? Turns out normal is not a natural intrinsic reality, but a political institution bent on control. Normal is just compulsory able-bodiedness and heterosexuality all over again. But wait, why does a politician stand on a global stage and rant about a thing that even they know doesn't exist? Like, why obsess over deformity at all? What's the goal here? It's easy to fall into this trap of thinking this kind of rhetoric genuinely seeks to build a world of perfect, frictionless, able-bodied citizens, free from the scourge of crips and criminals. But it's not. That's a trick. A trick that disability helps us see. That's the cool thing about disability. It's always teaching us new shit. If the system actually managed to eliminate every disabled person, every queer, every abomination, it would lose its most powerful weapon. The expectation of normalcy does not exist to make able-bodied people feel safe. It exists to keep them terrified. Power needs the threat of the deformed to scare people into compliance. Think about it. In a capitalist society, your worth is tied entirely to your capacity for labor and your fear-driven vote. Able-bodiedness is just a code word for a body that can be efficiently exploited for a 40-plus hour work week. The moment you need accommodation, you're exposed to a deadly virus, you slow down, you age, you threaten that efficiency. Being efficiently exploited sucks. So how does the system keep able-bodied people working themselves to the bone and ignoring their own pain and mental health? By pointing at deformed protesters, the junkies, the disabled, the criminals, even the predators. People who have been cast out, reminding the normies what happens when you can't or won't toe the line. The threat isn't that disabled people are going to ruin society. The threat is a warning to you. Look what happens to people who can't fit in the cockpit. Look how we treat the ones who can't perform normal. Keep working, keep conforming, or you're next. The moment you stop being afraid of lazy immigrants, or needy cripples, or scary trans people, and start voting for systems that meet everyone's needs, you threaten power. Compulsory able-bodiedness is a hostage situation, and we are all paying the ransom with our lives. Oh my God, do I not want to live in a world that is nothing but normal, ordered living, sandblasted of all variety and flavor and color. Disability is a valuable vector of human diversity. It literally helps us solve problems more easily because groups with varied experiences and needs and limitations come at problems from many different perspectives, literally like enabling us to see the world in 3D instead of a flat plane. Humans spread across the whole frickin' planet, not because we all thought and moved and communicated the same, but because we used our differences to power our innovation. Because remember, fitness is not an individual trait. It is a collective property of the entire species. And that is what we do in our Patreon exclusive live streams. We don't just talk about it, we make art about it and practice our skills of gluing together varied and conflicting perspectives. You can join for as little as $1 a month. Every dollar helps keep me housed. And if you have ideas for higher tier rewards, let me know. Remember to give this video a like, a comment, some hype points, all to tell the algorithm that I did a good job. Okay, bye.